What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Brick Lounge presented by SC Bricks. Once again, I'm your host, Eric. Joining me are my co hosts, Kip and John. What is up, gentlemen?
What's up, Eric? It's great to be here.
What's going on, guys? It's awesome to be here with you all. I'm looking forward to today.
I am ecstatic. I am wired, as you guys know, but the audience does not know. I just went on my first anniversary vacation.
Woohoo!
Nice little cruise and a little stop by Legoland, Florida.
Yes.
So it's been a little while since I've had the pleasure of being with you guys. So I'm excited to be back and excited to be back doing this podcast with you.
Yeah, I
We've
feel like,
missed you.
yeah, we've missed you. We took a little break and, I feel like, I want to give up my time of what I've been doing to hear more about what you did in the Orlando Legoland.
Oh, well, you were too kind. Well, I guess that brings us into our week in Lego then, or our recent history in Lego.
Yeah, it's
That's
been a
right.
couple of weeks. Yeah. I'm interested to hear about your trip because my last, few weeks in Lego have been productive, and as always, there's some new adventure some rabbit hole that I'm going down in. But I'm just interested to hear about my old stomping grounds, which was the Florida store. So I'm interested to hear about how that was. Yeah.
Well, I'll give you. I could spend this entire podcast talking about my thoughts of my first pilgrimage to a Legoland as an AFOL. Never got the pleasure of going to one as a kid. So first visit, very much enjoyed myself. It was killer. I've got to say the big takeaway though had nothing to do with Lego. It was those freaking Granny's apple fries.
I haven't told my waffle that story yet, but when I do, she's gonna love that.
Oh
That
my gosh.
those granny apple fries are such a amazing specific treat, and they're also the reason that I met Kirk Christensen at the time, who was running Lego, one of the family and grandfather who's on all the Lego boxes. I met him because my wife wanted to have those apple fries. So, and then when you came back and you're like, I love the apple fries. I love that. They're so good. What was that? What do you dip them in? What do they give you to dip them in?
Well, that's like a cream cheese frosting, and then there's also like a
Yeah,
caramel sauce. It's two
that's
different
it.
options.
The caramel sauce.
Yeah, yeah. But, yeah, to the point that I wanna try and mimic those when I, here at home, figure out how to remake them here at home. But,
Sheesh.
in addition to that, of course, we went right after the hurricane, and thankfully, there was no significant damage or anything to the park. The only exception was Cypress Gardens. We were a little
Mm.
disappointed we didn't get to visit the original part of the park that was Cypress Gardens, because that did have, being a more natural area of the park, there were some downed trees that they had to close down that portion of the park for. So, wife and I were a little disappointed we didn't get to see that, but everything else was great. A couple of the rides we hit all the heavy hitters that I would consider necessary from an AFOL perspective. We hit the Pirates Cruise ride, which is great. Basically, the equivalent of the Jungle Cruise at Disneyland, only for Lego. We hit that one, which was killer. We did the God, I can't remember the name of it, but the Adventurers portion, the Pharaoh's tomb, shooting gallery, the dark ride. That one was super fun. And then of course we did the Dragon, the classic castle Legoland roller coaster, which was surprisingly, I mean, for a roller, there are far more intense roller coasters, but it was surprisingly intense for what I would consider a kid's roller coaster. I was surprised with the G's we were pulling on that thing. I was like, "Dang, man, this was whip a 4-year-old out of the cart." But, it was fun. It was very, very fun, and we went around to kinda date this podcast a little bit, we went around the Halloween time. So we were ready to leave the park, and then we started seeing all these people walking around with trick or treat bags, and we were like, "What?" So we go back to the entrance of the park, and they were handing out trick or treat bags, and you could go around to like 10 different areas around the park and trick or treat for Halloween candy. So there, me and my wife
Yes.
go. We walk back around the park and do trick or treating. So we stayed at the park for an extra 2 hours just doing trick or treating, and Of course, Miniland was probably the big highlight from an AFOL perspective. Um, that's just insane, and I love how they have it covered. I know that's a recent addition, but it's all covered, it's shaded. The detail that they have in those sculptures are just insane.
So all the outdoor displays are now in their covered displays or covered
Yeah,
outdoor
yeah.
displays.
Yep, covered with
Yeah,
on like UV protection to kinda to help with weathering and
coloring.
everything, and the
Yeah.
coloring, yeah. But it was the Miniland was incredible seeing all of that. I've got a lot of video that I use that I'm gonna be using for inspiration on that, and a lot of interactive features with that too, where you press a button and it causes something to happen in the Miniland, like the rocket to launch from Kennedy Space Center, or even the Pirates section, you press a button, and I got my wife not even realizing it, but you press a button and the cannon shoots water at the person that's there. So my then it became a game between me and my wife of anytime we saw water, we tried to beat the other person to it to press it and get them wet. So a lot of little fun gimmicks like that. So it was enjoyable. I do definitely recommend it. It has inspired me to try and make a pilgrimage to the other U.S. based Legolands at least, just because I know there are some differences between the parks. Um, Gross missed opportunity, however, for passport stamps for Lego passports. That is a huge
Oh,
missed opportunity that they do not have passport stamps at Legoland. I was even looking for a sticker to put in my passport book, and they can't even get a Legoland sticker. Um, so that's a missed opportunity. But I made up for it by me and my wife stopping by 3 different Florida Lego stores during that
yep,
trip.
yep. Do all three of
So
them have pick-a-bricks?
all 3 of them had pick-a-bricks. We only pick-a-bricked at the last one though, because we didn't want to carry around too many things. And of course, just to end it, and I'll pass it on to Kip for his week in Lego. Uh, as John knows, or John, you guys know, I got my exclusive Legoland set, my Mythica set,
That
which
was
is
I
the
was gonna ask you about that.
yeah,
Yep.
that was my big souvenir from Legoland is the Mythica exclusive set.
That's a great set. How much was it at the store?
Uh 39.99, I believe.
Yeah, that's right in that sweet
So,
spot. Yeah,
yeah, so not too bad.
I will
yeah.
bring up one other thing from Legos or from Eric's adventure with Lego over his cruise. He saw one of his ducks get nabbed.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I did. I built a bunch of little miniature Lego ducks for those that don't know on cruise ships, handing out or hiding rubber ducks around the cruise ship is a thing people do. And people find them, collect them, bring them to different cruise ships, and they continue on their journey. So, Kip and I at the Bricks and Minifigs in Greenville bulk bin built 8 ducks, little yellow ducks, and I, printed out some stickers to put on them with the ship name and the dates, and, hid them around the ship, and then my wife and I caught another couple find one of our ducks, so that was a real highlight moment of the cruise to watch that
Nice.
happen. It was really neat to see.
Yeah, I had to let you bring that up. So I
Yeah,
thought that was cool.
thank you, I totally forgot about that.
So my week in Lego, I got a commission to do an art piece
What?
out of
Ah.
Lego for somebody. A good friend of mine lost their dog, and they want a very large portrait done of their dog. So when I say large, it's going to be bigger than those who know Una and Titus. Bigger than Una and Titus. It's going to be 464 by 64 sections, so 128 by 128 instead of
Wow.
96 by 96. So
Wow.
that's what I will be
That's
working on in the
exciting.
near future.
So does that make you an official paid artist now? Is that a thing?
Um,
Are you a professional artiste?
Yeah, technically
wouldn't-
you can change it on your Facebook. Go ahead and do that you're a professional artist, Lego artist for
I'm
sure.
only
Add that to your
getting
portfolio.
I'm only
Yes.
getting paid in the parts that don't get used because this is a very dear friend of mine. So I'm
Yeah,
not going
yes,
to
yes,
charge
yes, of
them for my
course.
time.
Let's not get technical here.
Oh.
This is, you're still a professional. You've earned the professional status for sure.
So, but
Yeah,
yeah, I'll
and with
be
your work, man, the way your mosaics have developed, I mean, that's incredible. I'm
and I
very
think I'm
excited.
going a little more 3D on this one too, the way
Cool.
I'm picturing it. So Jack will be my first real 3D piece as far as mosaic 3D mosaics.
Congratulations, Kip.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Very exciting,
But-
good sir.
Yep, that's been my week. I've started planning it already.
Well, good. Well, good. Well, John, I know you ceded your time for me and my Legoland, but is there anything you wanted to add on before we jump into our topic of the show?
One of the things I've really enjoyed doing, and I would encourage everybody to do, is spend time with Rebrickable and rebrickable.com, and go find, sets that you might have that you've built or that you haven't built or that you have extras of, and do some really cool designs. I've been stuck on the Lego 3031 or 31120, the Lego 3-in-1 castle set. And meaning, like, there's so many castle series type buildings in there that you can build. And so I've actually built 2 sets since last time we saw each other. I built a forest tower, and I built like a kind of like a snow speeder, but like a out of the space set. So I've just been doing some of that, just getting like buildy with it, with those 3-in-1s, kind of like they're meant to be. Combining them, I sorted a bunch. That's when I sorted 5 of the castle 3-in-1s.
Pictures that you've posted in the group Discord is just the cups all over your area of while you're
it's
sorting.
so satisfying. It's so satisfying.
Yeah,
I love it.
You build Rebrickable mocks very differently than I do, because you sort everything out beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I build I build Rebrickable builds the same way I built Lego as a kid. I will dump all the parts out onto my table and just go through and find what I need. And I hate myself for it, but it's part of the process that I actually I hate that part of the process.
You keep telling yourself that.
I know, because I mean, I'm such a sorted person. Like, I love I'll sort things. Everything has to have its place and whatnot. But when I want to build it, I want to build it, and it kind of brings me back to my childhood when I do that, of just digging through the bulk, because you're not building you're following instructions from somebody else, but you're not building the set. So it's a different vibe.
All I gotta say is good luck with that when you use the Hogwarts castle. That's like 6,200 parts.
Absolutely not. There is a limit to this.
That one drove me insane. I did one Rebrickable in my life, and it was using that set, and it drove me absolutely insane because I did not have enough room to sort it out the way John does.
Yeah. Yeah, I've standardized on a cup and a container design, so that's for a whole nother discussion. But I've got a way, like, on the cheap, to have a whole bunch of little tiny cups in these Lego boxes that I've saved, and use them to sort into those cups, and it makes it interesting. I'll open, like, if I got 5 bags of one set, I'll just open bag 1, all of them, and then just once that bag's done, it's done, and I have kind of a foundation, and I've just gone from there and there. So the last time I was pulling out boxes from my inventory, I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to keep loading it up. This isn't too many bags.
Totally fine.
Yeah, totally fine.
Well, that's a whole nother topic for a show, is sorting methods and storage methods. Everyone, because you said something very important. Everyone has to have their standards. So that's an episode we may have to do in the future, ladies and gentlemen. Is
definitely
sorting standards. But anyway, well, let's transition to our topic of the show, and 'tis the season, ladies and gentlemen. 'Tis the season to be jolly. We are talking
jingle bells.
Jingle bells, sleigh bells ring. Are you listening? Winter Village is our topic of the show. It is the holidays. It is approaching, or it is the holidays at the time that you're listening to this. And recently Lego just released the newest of the Winter Village sets, the 10339 Santa's Post Office. So in honor of the release of that set, and it being the holidays or being upon us, we wanted to do a tribute to the Winter Village collection. I believe all of us are fans of the Winter Village in our own way. I personally do not own any of the Winter Village sets, but me and my wife will be beginning our Winter Village collection together this year. Um, but I know you, John, and Kip all have several of the sets. John, I
Got them
think you
all
may have
from
all
when
of
I
them.
started in my Lego journey. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I still have all of them, and I still have some unboxed from the original.
Oh,
So
wow. Wow.
yeah, but that I'm not going to jump ahead here in the conversation, but essentially, yeah, that was a huge set in my getting back into Lego at the time I did, and just kind of like staying in love with the every year you get something new, you
Mhm.
know. But yeah, since
That's kinda one of the cool things, just to kinda jump in a little bit about that Winter Village history. That first set launched in 2009, and they've been coming out every single year since, and it's such a cool collectible thing that you can do on an annual basis. I mean, there are I know for a fact there are people in the Lego community that they just buy the one Winter Village set every year. That's what they do, you know, and they just keep adding to it, and that's awesome. That's kind of what this is for. And of course, all of them have been at, you guys know my perfect price point of $100 or less,
mhm,
Or less.
and
mhm.
they refuse to go above that $100 price point, which is perfect.
Yep.
They know their market, they know who they're appealing to, and it's just I'm honestly amazed that they've continued this line for this long at that consistent of a price point. That's a statement of the kind of collection that we're working with here.
Yes, sir. There's a lot to be said about that too, because some of those sets, they have a lower piece count, but then some of them, we're talking 15, 1400, 1500 pieces. So keeping it at that consistent $99, no matter how many pieces are in it, that kind of helps. I mean, sometimes it's a bummer because you're getting less pieces for the price, but those sets do go down in price a little bit, I've seen. So
Yeah,
at least
yeah.
when they're available. Later after they retire, they seem to skyrocket. So
Yeah, we're sitting right now on the precipice of the Holiday Main Street retiring. That retires next month, and so I've actually already seen that go on sale on Amazon. Maybe by the time this recording's out, it'll be sold out. But that's the kind of thing that, that's been. We'll get into that again, but that's been there since 2022, and so
Mhm.
they're like a 2 to 3 year run cycle. And this bad boy's about to leave, and it's one of the only ones that has a trolley in it. So you better get it quick.
fun
Mhm.
fact about that one, that
Which
is the
yeah,
only Winter Village set that did not get released on October 1st, John.
Oh,
October
According to
really?
3rd?
Brickset, it says October 3rd.
Yes.
So,
I
unless
wonder what's
that's a
going on
typo,
October 1st. No, I see the
unless
same
that's a
thing.
typo. So yeah, it's quite interesting that that one's 2 days off from literally every other Winter Village set release. So that's also one I have 3 of. October 3rd, I got 3. I wonder. I don't know. It's weird. Maybe they were following me.
Yeah, but I think this series is it it's the Lego's fulfillment of the annual Christmas city piece. And so, when I was growing up, I know that my mom always bought something that was, I was a child of the 80s and 90s, so there was all kinds of collectibles that people would buy, whether it was the plates, the Christmas plates, or the Christmas glasses,
Santas.
Santas. But my mom bought all the Christmas houses, so she every year she'd buy a house or some portion of the village. Maybe every year she'd buy two, but that's what she would put under the tree, and they all had a little light attached to them that you could turn on. And so that was this itch to have an annual winter set is exactly what this scratches, and it's
Mhm.
fun. I mean, I just for perspective for myself, as I was looking at this, I was like, wow, 2009. So 2009 was, I was definitely in Lego at that point, but I wasn't, near where I was now. But I do remember getting the Winter Toy Village Toy Shop and just imagining instantly the huge winter mock layout that this could lead to. And seeing, all the different characters in this winter scene with snow on the roof, and then, from there it's just progressed and gotten better and better and better and better. But I look forward to every year. To your point, one of my best friends growing up, my shout out to Adam, who always is the one that, I point back to and say he's the guy that got me back into Lego because we played together when we were kids, and he's kind of part of my Lego origin story. Um, this is what he does every Christmas. This is it. He buys this
Yeah.
set, and that's it. And he hits me up every year. Have you seen the new Christmas set? And Kip, until today, I didn't know it was October 1. So I'm never going to tell him that, but I'm always going to use that with him.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome. And one other thing, John, real quick, that I'm surprised you didn't mention well, two things that I personally love about these sets is, at least for the recent ones, they usually come with a gift with purchase or some winter
Yeah.
themed GWP that goes well with it. In the case of this year, it's not a GWP, but it's a an additional $20 set that corresponds with the elf post office or Santa's post office set. So they usually come with a complimentary GWP. But John, you in particular, one of the things I find fascinating about these sets is I don't think they have repeated a Christmas tree build in a single one of these sets. They've all been unique tree builds in every single set, with the exception of the
Yeah.
first couple that were all molded.
Y- Yeah. I
So
will.
if you want to
in the
know how many
re-release,
different
there
ways
was
you
a
can build a
re-release
Christmas
too.
tree,
Yeah.
According to Brickset, there was a re-release of the Toy Shop because it was the first one in 2009. But if you look down in 2015, it was re-released, but there's more parts, so they did some differences. There's an extra
Mhm.
minifigure. There's some differences there, but they call it a re-release of the Winter Toy Shop.
Yeah.
Yeah. They did it twice, essentially. Yeah.
But
But you're right.
those
That's
trees
funny.
are very similar,
But they're not the same.
but they're not the
Yeah.
same.
So how many ways can you build a Christmas tree out of Lego?
Yeah.
We will find out, because they have not repeated one yet. So, but yeah, I thought you would appeal to that, John, because
I'm busy.
you
I'm
have an
busy
infinite number
scrolling
of ways
through.
to build a tree.
Our tree guy.
Yeah. Well, I've looked at these
Our,
trees
our
over
resident,
time.
or what is it? What arborist?
Arborist. Yeah.
Yeah, our resident arborist.
The Winter Toy Shop, just for reference, and the Winter Village Toy Shop. So there's the toy shop, and then to Kip's point, there's the Winter Toy Shop, which is a re-release. What is the difference there? They both had the same tree. So, you know what the difference is? They had the light. No, I don't know. Interesting that they did that.
There's about, let's see, about 80 extra parts.
Yeah, I'm wondering what that is, because I was going back and forth.
There's one extra minifigure, so that's 5 parts.
Yeah.
If you add an accessory.
Yeah, that is interesting, and that is basically a identical remake. I mean, you have other ones in here like the 10229 Winter Village Cottage and the more recent Santa's Visit, 10293. That Santa's Visit is definitely carries a lot of inspiration from that original Winter Cottage set, but they're not. It's not a remake. You can just definitely. It's the whole style is inspired. Um,
You guys
Which is
ready to
cool.
go? You guys ready to go back in the beginning and start and just kind of run through them?
Sounds like
Yeah,
a plan.
I'm
Let's do it.
I'm absolutely down to do this. The one thing I want to touch on before we do that, though, is the cool thing with this another cool thing with this Winter Village theme that we haven't mentioned is how it divides itself between realism and fantasy. There are the Winter Village sets that are your Main Street and your like John, you said, grandma collecting the winter cottages, the porcelain cottages and whatnot, that whole Winter Village um aesthetic they have, but then they also dip into the whole whimsical side of things with Santa and the elf clubhouse and the gingerbread house, and that's a whole nother subgenre. So let's dive into it. We'll start very, very beginning. October 1st, 2009, 10199 Winter Village Toy Shop.
A suggested retail price of $59.99.
That seems so cheap. So
7 minifigures,
yeah, so let me just give you the
7
highlights of this
minifigures
one.
for $60.
I know that's what I'm talking
right?
about. So for me, here's the highlights on this one because I this one has it has a lighted brick, so that was something that's really unique. You know, they don't always include those. To your
I
point,
think
it
they
had.
I think they all do, right?
I think they all do.
Think
Yeah.
Yeah, I
in
think
the
they all
Winter
come with
Village
one.
sets, yeah.
So let's say the Winter Village set is not exclusive to lights, but the lights are very rarely used except for in things like the Winter Village. So, you know, having that included because this was the first, now you know. And then I love the Jack in the Box. I love the brick built teddy bear. They had they had the carolers. So they had the two carolers with the caroler faces with the rosy cheeks. They had the snowball fights, they had the kids skis, so they had a handful of small mini toys. And so now all of a sudden this set really sets the foundation for your city. And like every good Lego set, it leads your imagination to how do I expand this? How do I build bigger? How do I build more? I need more kids around the tree. I need more presents. And so for me, this set was the beginning of my collection of Christmas sets. So, you know, I love this set. And it's an open back dollhouse kind of style, and you know, just when you look inside, it's just a little store with a sitting spot over the second story. Love this one. Oh, and the street
Have to
lights.
admit, my favorite part of that is the Jack in the Box with the jester head
I
poking
Isn't
I was
that
out.
gonna
awesome?
say that Jack in the Box is very, very well done.
I want that jester headpiece like multiple times over. That's so
Can't
awesome.
disagree with that. That's a fun set. So again, that was that was the beginning of the Village madness, and they started with the toy shop. So then a whole year went by, and they had 10216, the Winter Village Bakery. What did you guys think about this one?
I
Winter Village
loved
Bakery
it.
looks really good. I love the, I mean, anything bakery is always nice. You get these are the these are before the printed piece for pastries that we get now, with the exception of the croissant that you see in the window. But you see a nice little build for the cupcakes there. The thing I like here too that we'll see in later Winter Village sets is the introduction of the ice skating rink.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Agreed.
You know, a lot of them come with ice skating rinks for the village ones, and I do really, really like that.
I'm a fan of
Um,
that horse-drawn carriage delivering the Christmas
yep,
tree.
that's a good one too. Shout out to the plain no printed white owl, which
Yep.
this would have been one of the last years that used it because it was originally in Harry Potter, and I think they discontinued this owl shortly after this set came out.
Yep.
And they also had the minifig torso going into the snowbank on the
Yeah,
ice
it's
on the
such
ice
a funny
skating
little
rink.
play
I
feature.
didn't even
Yeah.
catch that. I
Oh
did not
yeah.
even catch that one.
You know, it's funny. So, a part of my current village that I have, and every single time I build, I will always put that scene in it. I still have that little scene kind of together, if you will, in a way.
Mhm.
Those legs, and then the guy with the picture laughing and his camera, and then the girl skating over to him. One of my favorite scenes. Now, this again, here's the inspiration. Here's how my brain works. All right, great. We got a bakery for the street, but now we have an ice skating area. Now that ice skating area is way too small. So now we need to buy 10 more of those little 8 by 8 you know, transparent blue and make that a real pond, right?
Yeah.
And so then, hold on, I'm not done because they also included a printed pricing scheme for Christmas trees, both small and big. So for all of you that had been collecting all those molded Christmas trees, you have a chance to create a entire Christmas tree purchasing section of
Or
your farm. So now this village is expanding, and then plus obviously you've got the one Kip's favorite, the horse and the horse-drawn carriage. That horse needs a barn, and so it needs a place to store itself. And so this set to me is just fantastic because it creates 4 unique environments for the Lego builder to fantasize and build about. And by the way, I've done all of those things for this set.
That was a man speaking from experience. That was not
Yes.
theoretical.
Yeah. And I
Wha
love it. I love it.
One last thing before we move on to the next set that I literally just noticed, John, when you called out the guy that fell into the snow. This must have been before they introduced the actual ice skate piece because they're
It
using
was.
tooth pieces as ice
Yep.
skates. I just caught that.
Yeah, that's the original ice skate right there. Is
Yeah,
the
yeah,
tooth
which is
pieces.
really cool.
Yeah, and then also using underneath it the 1x1 transparent one by transparent to
Yeah.
make them look like they're gliding on the ice.
Yep.
Yeah, they do really look well. They look real good on the ice, and
They
so
do.
it's fun. I mean, and the new skates, quite frankly, don't stick in the same
Yeah.
way. Like they're harder to put on the brick itself. So sometimes I'll still use these
You can
just
really
because
only
they look
use
like.
one skate if you're trying to pose the minifigure and
Yeah,
have it stuck in a position,
Yeah.
because the
yeah.
other one has to be studded down somehow.
I think also they used. Do you guys remember the Arctic scene or the Arctic series? They used one of the Arctic heads on one of the little kids here that's giving an apple to the. And so
Mhm.
that was it being introduced. So now what you have
You see a
in two,
couple of those throughout the earlier
yeah.
ones, I think.
So now what you have is you start to be able to incorporate, your first two buildings, right, and a couple scenes. Now your winter village is growing, and now you're into 2000 and what? 2011? Is that where we're next?
2011. Yep, 2011 with 10222, the Winter Village Post Office.
The first post office.
Yes.
Kip, what do you think about this set?
So something that actually sticks out to me is something Eric brought up earlier as well, was the fact that in this most recent release, there was an extra purchase that you could do of a little delivery truck. That delivery truck is very, very similar shaped to the one that I believe is in this set. Now, granted, it's a different color scheme and it might be extended just a little bit longer, but I believe that it's a very similar build based just on the few pictures that I've seen of it recently. So I'm
I can
interested. I'm
the
interested to see.
the one that they built the one that's out right now has a 1x2x3 extra, so it's longer, but the front looks very similar. It's a little more rounded, but
Yeah,
it's
this one
very
has a
similar.
straight up and down windshield, whereas I think the new
Yeah,
one has the sloped windshield, so that'll give you at least one stud of length there extra.
yeah.
But other than that, this build, I love the color, the dark greens. I really love that roof color. It's
Chef's kiss.
perfect. And that little gazebo that matches alongside of it. And of course, something that I really like as a musician is there's a little saxophone and banjo player. It looks like a little
Yeah,
banjo player playing out in front.
before
And
the saxophone piece too. So that's a
exactly
Yeah,
purpose-built
before the
saxophone.
saxophone piece. So,
yes. Very well done.
and something else I also noticed is it seems that all of these Winter Village sets have some animal involved with them.
Yeah.
Because in the first one we saw a kitty cat, a little white kitty cat. Then we see an owl in the second one. Now we're seeing a doggy in this one. So I wonder if that trend continues. We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, I'll say this is another one of those set you up for something more. So they give you the building, and the building is fantastic because it now has shades of snow on it. They use the the dark green roof, and now they're actually, instead of using a white roof, just white plates, they're starting to put snow on it, and they're starting to have it falling off the roof or stacking up along in front of the windows, and then they have that same kind of texture in the gazebo, and the gazebo's fun because it's another scene that's technically like not part of the post office, but it's like a area for the
A
musicians to
small extra
chill.
scene. Yeah, exactly. For
Yeah.
the musicians to play
Yep.
at.
Yeah. And they've got somebody again using the Arctic headpiece for the first time, actually shoveling some snow in front of a bench. So now they're starting to give you some, additional texture for your city with that little snow bench, an area for someone to sit. And if I'm not mistaken, this is actually technically the first vehicle in
Yes.
general.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So they bring in the post office truck Kip,
Motorized
which
vehicle.
motorized vehicle.
Yeah. There
It's
was
got it's
we
got
had a
snow tires and
one
everything.
horsepower carriage in the last sets.
Yeah, we did. So so this one we have it's got snow tires and everything. So so yeah, I love this set, man. This is a fun one. And again, it's the doll, the dollhouse setup,
Well,
and
John, it has to have snow tires. It's got to deliver the mail in the
yes,
snow.
in
That's
every
right.
condition,
That's right.
rain or snow.
So I'll take a moment here, and this will stand true to these early sets, and I want the listener to make note of this evolution. These earlier sets, and this is true of Lego in general as we move through the ages, how much detail is accomplished using very, very minimalistic building techniques and very simple building techniques. Like John, you mentioned the snow on the roof that you have there, or the guy shoveling the snow pile with nothing but a couple of 1x2 slopes and a few studs, creating that detail. So it's like things like this inspire me where you do not have to have a whole bunch of parts and have things that are hyper realistic and hyper detailed to have fun and get a world
And
across.
convey a story.
Exactly. So that's one of the things that I do love about these is they usually, even with the later ones that get more complex with their building techniques, they always seem to be very simple at their core. And they give you just enough to tell the story, and then the rest they leave up to your imagination, which is what Lego is supposed to do.
Yeah, they do exactly that, and in a very creative way too. Because, and I won't go through every single set to tell you how they kind of translated to my world, but like to your point, Eric, they every single one of them is inspiring to do next level or add to it. So yeah, all right, let's keep
Absolutely.
rolling.
All right, we have October 1st, 2012. We have 10229 Winter Village Cottage.
With a
So
really cool vehicle because we need a snowplow to clear the streets.
you gots to have a snowplow, you know.
Yeah, that
Um,
roof is covered with snow.
Yes,
you know?
it
Mhm.
is. That is a very
Yeah,
thick, snow-covered roof.
And there's your
the
owl, Kip.
there's
Yep.
the owl. There's the
And
owl.
then there's some kind of either cat or chipmunk or something down in front of that
That
house.
would be a cat.
That was a cat. Yep. I do want to take a shout out here again to shout out the simplicity in building, but it gets the point across. There's a 3-part toy airplane with those 3 yellow pieces, and then a sailboat using 3 parts as well, which are
Yep.
just so well done. You get exactly what the point is,
Yeah,
and
it's amazing what you can show with such small little pieces. I love that
yeah,
about these sets. Yeah, every set has a little bit of a toy collection, to build on. So, a couple things that stand out to me on this set is, and I want to point this out before we get too far. Note how every single Christmas set has a different light post. How they refuse to standardize on the same light post.
Right.
yeah.
Having said that, this is my favorite. This
I'm
is my
glad you
favorite.
mentioned that because I meant to bring that up last time. Is there's nothing that's the same in the light. That's the one
Yeah.
thing that you'll have to change when you put your village together. Is there's no consistency with the lighting in
Yeah.
this town.
Every lighting is different, and some of it's yellow, and some of it doesn't have. There's only one or two that don't. I think there's one that doesn't have any lighting at all. But for the most part, they go out of their way to have to have like some ornate light. You know what I mean? With a whole bunch of extra pieces. It's like at the end when they're designing it, they're like, we have a couple more pieces here. Let's go ahead and let's make this light a little bit more ornate. Let's add another element. Some of them are crazy. They got like 10 pieces to them.
Right. The Main Street one had a lot of pieces to it, if I remember correctly. Like a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So
We'll
the
get to
one,
that one.
this one right now, the Winter Village Cottage has the cleanest looking one. I like it. That's honestly one of the highlights I have. It's got a really nice wreath design that you can use throughout the city and other ways. It's got a sleigh, to your point, those cool toys. It's got a saw area for the wood sawing. So this goes along with your tree, like your tree farm, right? So now you're beginning to incorporate this house into the tree farm. All right, so you kind of get in the picture there, and there's a little igloo there for the dog from the other one. So love it.
John's just walking through his own winter village right now.
This is my
It's all
Right.
John's doing.
my Winter Village D&D
I want to see what he
version.
says about the next one because the next one is one of my favorites in my opinion.
Well, take us away,
Because-
Kip.
Take it
So-
away, Kip.
The next one is set number 10235, and it was released October 1st of 2013. It is the Winter Village Market, and it's got several different miniature scenes to just like fulfill kind of like a downtown square market type feel. So you've got like looks like a little candy shop, a little coffee shop, another little pie shop, a couple different pie shops, a little bench, and then there's this really cool 4-cart merry-go-round that has motion that has a really cool mechanism built into the bottom of it that's, in my opinion, for such a small build, a great mechanism for movement. So it packed so much detail into all these little mini scenes, and the build technique on that carousel is just spot on. So this is right up there with some of my favorites. This is one that I do want to get. I don't have it, but I want to get this one.
Well, Kip, I still have this one in the box. I haven't built it yet. That's not a flex. It's a fact. I'd like to build it as a wonderful set.
I still have it in the box.
It hasn't become part of my town yet.
That's funny. The new value of it, I think, is around $185. So when it was sold for that famous 190 or 99, so it's more than doubled in value. The other thing I really liked about this, which it's funny because it's a little, I guess, secret of the set. I don't know, too many people would even look at it, but it has a very unique horse.
Yeah.
So if you look at the horse, you look at the painting on around the horse's head, it's unique to the set. Now imagine that with all those knights, with all those paladin knights, or all the different knights. That's such a cool piece. So that
John's next army is his horse army.
Yeah, specifically straight out of Winter Village Market. Anyway, that horse is a really unique set.
And really I'm going to tie back into the previous conversation. Look how simplistic that light post is.
Oh yeah, but it's yellow. Note that it's yellow.
Yeah, it's got a yellow light in it.
Yeah, they didn't do fire. Like that would have been a good spot for a fire, like a little flame. But those the light tops that they used for that are also very cool. So that was when these sets are where I started seeing those as well.
Yeah, the fishbowl piece I call
the fishbowl,
or the mysterious Spider-Man Mysterio headpiece.
Yeah,
and it looks like there's actually a couple in this set.
Yeah, 2 light posts.
So
First time
really
we've seen consistency with light posts so far is 2 of the same light posts.
It has to be in the same set.
and they're the most simple ones.
Yeah.
Right.
So we'll speed it up a little bit because we've got quite a few more to get through. But we'll go to the first of the whimsical side of things with 10245 Santa's Workshop. And of course, you have to start with a Santa's Workshop as your first debut into Whimsy. First of note, no light posts in this set.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. I think this is the one.
Yeah. Shout out to if you want elves, this is one of the sets for you. All of those elf headpieces, which I know people really enjoy those elf ears and hat combos. But with normal outfits, I noticed that there's not any sort of special elf clothing. It's all just normal, townsperson clothing.
Overalls.
That you've got
overalls
and like a bow tie and the whole conveyor belt toy machine concept I think is really, really fun. It kind of brings me out of the whole toy machine and the Tim Allen Santa Claus.
Did you notice how they incorporated the Galaxy Explorer in there?
Yep.
And that nice nod to the Galaxy Explorer.
And looking at the animals, they're brick built this time. There's no molded animal. They're the reindeer brick built.
Before the molded reindeer. But they did include those 4 pieces up front to replace their harnesses, so you can have free range reindeer, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is the first Santa, or maybe a Mrs. Claus. Yeah, it might be. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Is this the first Santa that gets introduced?
I would say yes in this line as well as Miss Claus.
Yeah. So this is the introduction of Santa and Miss Claus.
Yeah, I would be willing to bet this is probably the first Mrs. Claus, but I know we've had Santas in the past.
Yes. Yeah.
But I would bet this is probably this. I wouldn't be surprised if this was the first Mrs. Claus. Don't quote me on that, but
Well, she looks sharp with her Christmas baking bib on, her nice silver
she does.
baking
She
bib. Yeah.
does. So so we switch gears back again. Oh, go ahead, Kip. You got
I was
one more
about
on
to say
this?
the next one is just a repeat of the first one. It's the toy shop with a couple extra parts.
Which we
Oh
haven't
yeah,
figured
yeah,
out what
that's
the
the one we
difference is
referenced.
yet.
Well, different
And
color Jack in the Box. I see.
yeah, different colored Jack in the Box.
Oh, well, that stands
So
out.
yeah, I think there's some different toys involved this time.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting.
So
That's such an odd remake. There's got to be. I mean, don't have the time on this one. Had we noticed that beforehand, we might have done the fallen down that rabbit hole. But hey, listeners, if you know why they made such a direct remake of that set, let us know in the comments.
please.
Yeah, please let us know. You know, we can see the differences, the subtle differences, but that is a re-release.
I think they ran
very
out of
close
time.
apart.
I think they just ran out of time.
Yeah, they were like, toy shop. Toy shop.
Just change these colors. Change this toy.
Now the next one is a really cool set in my opinion too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
this appeals to a lot of people.
Yes. So it dives into the train realm. This is set number 10254, Winter Holiday Train from 2016.
Yep. First off, the thing I love about this is where they break from the mold. Is while this is a Winter Village set, there is no illusions about what this is. This is a train set. You get a train and a bunch of track. That is all. There's no extraneous buildings. All of the budget went to train and track.
That's
You
because
know,
they want
and
you
toys.
to put it through all of your
Mhm.
other buildings that you bought from the previous years.
Correct, which is
Yep.
just so cool. There's no frills or anything with this. It's all the budget went to this train, and it is a really good looking train.
It's an
too.
awesome looking train.
I think this is the most time I've actually spent looking at this set, and I'm very impressed with this.
It does actually have motion in it. The Christmas tree spins as the
Yeah.
train goes. So there's a little bit of motion, and also note the
Cool.
lamppost. It's
Yep.
the unique lamppost.
Yep. I'm gonna start. You know what? I'm not gonna go back and buy, spend all the money to buy all of the Winter Village sets from the past. But what I think I may do is reconstruct each unique light post and have my own personal light post collection. You know?
That's awesome.
There is.
Every year's Christmas light post
post.
for the winter collection.
That's everyone starts
That's a-
posting pictures of their Winter Village, and I just have one shot with 19
Yes.
different light posts.
And Santa standing next to them all.
Yeah. This is my Winter Village.
Or every animal next to every light post.
You know what? I say that now, but if you I just jumped forward to 10259 Winter Village Station
Yep.
because it complements the train.
Yep.
But
Oh,
we
yeah.
have consistency. Look at the light posts, the same ones that went with the
wow.
train
Because it
And
went with
there's
the
two of 'em.
train.
because it went with the train.
Huh.
Oh man! Now that is a feature that is no longer exclusive. It's now begun to cross over, and maybe we'll see it again. Maybe,
Well, Lego, you
we'll
lost. me.
see.
That's
Yeah.
it. I give
Yeah.
up. I'm done with Lego. You
Some-
repeated a light post.
I'm going to be honest with you. Something's different about this one. I could study it a little bit further, but I'm telling you, something's different here.
The two train ones, I don't see any animals in either. So there's another difference there as well. So if it's got a train reference, I haven't seen animals.
John, they are different light posts.
They are. Is it the base?
No, the base is different, and the gold, the train had gold studs on the left and right of the lamppost. The other one does not.
Mhm.
Yeah.
they are still-
see,
they're unique
it's
light
still
posts.
different.
Okay, all right.
The
All right,
streak
all right.
continues.
In this Winter Village
Light post
Station,
collection continues.
I really do like that little bus. That bus is a cool little bus build.
Oh yeah,
That
that's
is a cool-
fantastic. Yeah, and they give you a bunch of different toys. Not toys, but wrap toys.
Yeah,
You know,
presents.
one of the things I will shout out on this bus real quick and say it does look like it is. I mean, it's a four stud wide. It looks like it's got space to fit a driver, but really no one else. But this bus reminds me a lot of the old Lego Town things that did not actually fit minifigures, and I think
All
that is a
right.
and I think that's a perfectly acceptable scale to do vehicles in alongside minifigures, you know, just for the aesthetic aspect. It doesn't have to fit a figure in it, you know, as long as it
Be 8
fits that
wide or
style.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that just kind of reminded me of that. I wanted to make a special note of that.
Yeah, and I think it's consistent. All the other vehicles so far have the sitting area has been four wide.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so that's consistent with the theme. And just another note is they also included, which would be it featured heavily in the Target coffee shop, the brown coffee, like like what is it called when you? I'm sorry, I'm
Well,
looking at the element
the
schmuck. I want to say schmuck.
yeah,
When
yeah,
you're the barista.
the
The
barista
barista,
apron
yeah.
or whatever. Yeah.
Apron, thank you. I appreciate it. So it's the apron and it's the coffee apron. So that character starts to show up a bunch from here. But I don't know that this is the first one, but I know that it's one that began to show up more through a lot of the other winter sets.
Yep. And this next one I consider a jump, a pretty
Yes.
a pretty significant jump in overall quality and build techniques, like we were talking about earlier, is the 10263 Winter Village Fire Station.
Yeah, this is when it went to 99, from 79 to 99.
Yeah. Now
They went full bore.
I know this is one that a lot of people absolutely love. I mean, that classic fire truck is insane. The gold fireman helmets.
It
I
has
mean,
a baby.
you got
Yeah, the first baby, and it's got a printed torso
Yeah.
for those of you that care.
You got the baby in there. Back to the ice skating rink with the actual ice skates now. You know, Dalmatian because we've got a fire station. Yet again,
A brick built tree, Christmas tree.
Hey, and an
brick-built
actual
tree.
saxophone this
and
time.
actual saxophone, and still a unique light post.
That's right. A double one.
Yeah.
I'm legitimately going to do this, guys. I really want to collect Winter Village light
With
posts.
a bench next to each one of them, if they've got a bench.
Like,
Yeah.
that's my thing now. That's all I want to do is just
That's
collect
great.
light posts.
I love it. Yeah, and you know, it's
Wonderful.
funny, if you use the bench, you could have one minifig from each set, that kind of, so you could, sitting on the bench.
Here's another special shout out that I want to take a moment of to do two things real quick. Shout out to the parts usage on that sled using at the time, this would have been the Elven spear pieces or Elven weapons in, you know, those
Yeah.
gold weapons as the skis for the sled. And also, I always appreciate Lego when they do this. City just started doing this more and more recently, including additional hair pieces for characters that wear helmets.
Oh, yes.
I always think it costs nothing to throw in an extra hairpiece for kids to be able to play with characters with and without that helmet. That's such a small thing to add, but it adds so much value to like a play experience for adults and kids, because I love it when that happens too. So shout out to that. That's the first time I'm seeing this in the Winter Village images. Not that the other ones didn't come with it, but they may not have shown it.
Every year just builds on the previous year. It just gets better and better. So the other thing I think on this one, which is unique, is they start to have the snow drip.
Yeah, using those tooth pieces.
Yeah, that's they had used that. They had 3 of them, I think, on the previous winter train set, but they weren't really used in the building setting. And here they have a bunch of them. So you start to see that on the stairs, you see it on the front, and it's more of a prominent piece. And by the way, that piece ended up on the pick-a-brick wall. So I know a lot of people have that piece. So, you know, the icicles for the snow start showing up a lot more in all these builds.
It's
Yeah,
funny
I have a bunch of those pieces for some reason. Like early in my Lego Pick-a-Brick experience, I went, I don't know what I'm going to do with these, but it was winter and I bought a box of them almost. And I'm like,
so you
When
see
you
a
do
lot
something out-
more of them. You see a
Yeah,
lot
when you
more
do
of them in the
mountain-
next set too.
yeah,
Oh, interesting. Let's go on to the next set.
yep.
So
And
the next set is another fantasy style one.
I love this one.
Ah, yes.
I
A
can say
lot of
probably
people
this
love
is my
this one.
favorite. Yeah, the gingerbread house. What a
this is
fantastic build! Like this is a whole
one that
house build.
I really wish I knew about, because this was right when I was getting back into Lego. I really wish I knew about this set
So for those
back
following
then.
along, this is set number 10267.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this one is just amazing. Released in 2019. It was right before I came came out of my dark ages. So I missed out on the full version of this, but the very next year in 2020, they did a miniature version of this as a GWP for Christmas in July. And that was my very first ever GWP. I think I've mentioned that on our show before.
You have, yeah.
But yeah, so this one holds a place in my heart as well, because even though I don't have the big one, I do have the miniature one. And I now have a second copy, so I received a second copy of the miniature GWP, so I'm going to build that one now and have it built. Because I was
Nice.
keeping it because it was just my first ever GWP, and that was the only reason.
I'm going to tell you, once you build it, you're going to wish they'd continue doing that.
Right? I know. The miniature for the previous year, yeah.
Yeah, that's a lost opportunity for Lego. I mean, they could have done a gift with purchase line of a miniature of every year previous, or even on its own, it would have sold
Yeah.
like crazy.
Yeah.
Like for
I mean,
$40.
Smaller scale. Yeah.
the recent Ninjago ones prove that too, of them
Yeah.
doing the
Yeah.
Ninjago ones for people. But
Yep.
this set, man, all right, I am not one that the fantasy, the whimsical side of the Winter Village stuff, I love looking at it, but to me, that's not the side of the Winter Village that I want to start collecting. I want to collect the mainstream, the more based in realism stuff. But this here is just so incredibly well done. This
Yes.
is a piece that you could just put in your house as a standalone display thing
Yep.
for Christmas. I absolutely adore this set. This would be one that I would want to go back and buy or part out and make my own version of it. Look at the windows, man, with the glitter one by ones staggered to create that stained glass look. You got the one by one rounds on the roof, printed pieces all over the place on this. A very, very negligent gingerbread father carrying his baby one-handed while pushing a snowblower.
Perfect.
I just noticed that is the baby in his hand right
Yes,
there.
it is.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and this one had a ton. I mean, so yes to all that. I mean, the stained glass windows, the ice, the snow on the roof, in a style that looks like gingerbread icing.
Icing, yeah.
So well done,
one
man.
by one dots. And I mean, this is one. So there was a couple before this that had a little bit more detailed interiors. This one kind of turned the page on the interiors. Like they started getting detailed. They put a bathtub. They put a toilet seat. They put like towels, Christmas towels in the bathroom. They put a baby bonnet. They put a bedroom. They put a gingerbread family picture over the fireplace with the baby included.
Right.
So, I mean, this one has so much fun detail. They got a fireplace inside with stockings over it. They got a couple chairs. So, everything has the peppermint swirl, like doorknobs or shelf knobs or anything they can on the top of the house. It's such a playful look. And for me, this is one of my favorites. And Kip, I'm with you on that other smaller set, but this one has all that interior, and I love the minifigs. The minifigs
they're
are
so much fun.
fantastic. Yeah.
So much fun. It's just it really breaks away in such a creative way. It's not the realism thing. It's not Santa that you would expect. It's gingerbread, but it's still so iconically winter and holiday. It's so well done. This would be one I will probably end up parting this one together.
Yeah.
And getting it, but
the gingerbread man soaking in a pool of milk. Come on now.
It's just great. It's great.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and we are making the transition here, coming to the end of the episode and coming to the end of the Winter Village collection, we are making a transition here into what I would consider the modern era of Winter Village sets. This is the first year, October 2020. This is the first year that with the Winter Village collection rebranded from the Creator line into the Icons line and became a black box product more geared towards the adult audience. With this set here, the 10275 Elf Clubhouse being the first of that. So I would consider from here going forward the modern era of Winter Village.
This was a
There you
great
go.
one because they introduced that reindeer with the big old antlers.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Oh,
the
such a
molded
great
reindeer.
piece. Such a great piece.
Yep.
Just one of them in a little hyper
just
sleigh.
one.
And your
Yeah.
traditional elves here, where they're actually in their elf garb rather than traditional
Yep.
village
They've got their
clothes.
uniforms on.
They've got their uniforms now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Lego was,
Um,
and also the unfortunate part about this set was Lego was too cheap to include a light post. So instead, you
Right.
get a computer on a table.
Also, I was so distracted with the gingerbread, but no light post in the gingerbread house either.
Yeah.
Uh
It's because these are the
But
fantastical fantasy
yeah, the
style
whimsical
ones.
yeah, they
Yeah.
don't need lights.
You don't need a light
Yeah.
post.
That's
That,
They
right.
make
that
their own
compu-
lights.
That computer build, though, I'm pretty sure that is my family's 1996 Packard Bell.
Commodore 64.
I was thinking it looked a lot like my Tandy.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
So this one's also cool because they introduced the actual Christmas lights on the house, right? So
Yeah.
they have Christmas lights, the Christmas tree with another really cool design of a unique use of a lot of one by one of the cheese slopes. We mentioned the computer, which is always fun. The North Pole sign, right? And then four elves, which is again as you're building your elf army. You know, for the time, a $99 investment in this set would get you four more. So I know that some other people about this, and then again, this one had a pretty fantastic interior.
Mhm.
So they had the piano, and let me see what else they had. I'm trying to remember. As you look inside, I think they had bunk beds. Yeah, they had bunk beds. They had the light lit up so that they had it was like a workshop. They had a cookie maker. They had a little kitchen, packed with lots of fun on the inside.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is such a good one. And that tree build, this is probably the most detailed tree build we've seen so far with all those cheese slopes.
Yeah, a
Very
lot of
unique.
piece count on that one.
Yeah, very unique way. And a little Pirates reference. They always love throwing a classic theme reference into these toys. We've got a Pirates reference with that pirate ship,
Yes.
Yep.
which
I
is
see
nice to
that.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's just a general fun set. And that one reminds me too, John, you just mentioned the lights, the way the lights are on that. These more recent ones you often see lit up, but the Winter Village is one of those unique lines that I think truly benefits from the addition of a light kit.
Yeah.
I'm not one that really puts lighting into my MOCs because it intimidates me, but the Winter Villages, I
You need
intend
'em.
you need a light kit in them. They're
Yep.
they're meant to be seen in that context. So
Which is also fun to do. Light kits are fun. They can be tedious, but they're a lot of fun. And this is a great place to introduce them. Yeah.
yeah, the end result just adds a different level
Yeah.
to it. It elevates the build in a very unique way. Um, so now we'll move on to the most recent set to retire out of all of these. It retired just this past year in December 2023, released in October of 2021. 10293 Santa's Visit.
Santa's Visit. This one is really fun because it had a high piece count. For the time,
Yeah.
it was the highest piece count.
It's a big house.
Yeah, it was a
And it
big
had some
house.
great parts and interesting colors too.
Yeah.
like the Wolverine claws.
Yes,
In
and
green.
green.
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
as
you
the
can make some
garland did a good
amazing
look.
trees with those. If you could get mass quantities of those Wolverine claws,
Yeah.
some great
and
trees.
I really love the Christmas tree design on this one. Now, this one, they built the light inside of the Christmas tree. So if you press down on the Christmas tree, it lights up. So
Oh,
they
that's
use
cool. I
some,
didn't know that.
yeah,
Yeah.
they use some translucent bricks ahead. So this is they give you another Santa in this set. And then, there's that receding hairline guy, which I really love.
Yeah.
So he starts to show up here, and you've got a little bit of a snowball and a little pajama. So there's some like this one was a big set. I
And
think
you
the
get a
thing
I
for
think
white
this,
that's
little
a.
bird in
I,
the back
I
too.
think just a
yeah, you
quick
get the
correction.
white
That's
bird.
that's actually Santa's cookie, not a snowball. It's the cookie, and the mom's holding the milk.
Oh yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but and then the inside, I think it had a whole like dinner scene, right? It
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
a table that was set with and it's stockings over the fireplace with a lounge chair. It's got a family picture, and then the actual you can actually drop Santa down the chimney if you did not know that. So it's
Oh,
big
that's fun.
enough for you to drop him down. Yeah. And then it's got the little girl in her loft bedroom. But such a cool set. It was the thing about this set is that it was big, and so it almost feels out of proportion.
Yeah.
You're starting to move into a new class of Lego build when you get to this set. FYI, like this is now, because if you compare this to some of the original Lego Village sets, it makes them look really small, particularly like
Dwarfs
the
them.
Winter Village Bakery. Yeah, you put the post office or the Winter Village Bakery next to this, you're like, whoa. But look at the technique for the roof, the snow on the roof.
But John,
It had
that's when you start making some of the original builds, the smaller ones. Those are your
Mhm.
market style areas in your town, whereas you've got your bigger buildings as your main staples. So
Yeah.
maybe eventually you'll have a bigger bakery, and this little smaller one from the original one will be your market stall out in the middle of, main square.
Yeah.
Something
By
like
this
that.
point in your Winter Village expansion, you're in like 3 different districts, so you can just separate the.
this one you buy multiple of, and you just do a little subdivision. So it's
There you go.
But that
Just
brings
Yeah.
the
you
next
just.
set into this perfectly, because you need transportation between those different districts, so you
Yep.
need the trolley with the Main
And
Street set.
go ahead, Kip. Yeah.
So Holiday Main Street was the next one that came out, and that was set 10308, and it was known as Holiday Main Street, which came with 2 miniature buildings and a awesome trolley that could be motorized and lit up, with a couple
Yeah.
extra purchases.
And
But
I'll
that
be
was an
honest with
awesome
you.
set. I love it.
This right here will be mine and my wife's first Winter Village set. But of all of the ones that I have seen, this is probably up there for me as far as if we were to rank these. I love the aesthetic of this set. I love the colors, the tan with the olive green. You've got the nougat pieces. The trolley is just a killer piece on there. John, you were talking about scale with the last set. These still fit into the scale of the original ones as far as they don't look significantly out of place. They're bigger, but they fit in as part of that core downtown, which is the aesthetic that I like looking for. Is that winter downtown is what I like. So I absolutely adore this set. Having not built it at all, I'm very excited. It is the first Winter Village set I've added to my collection.
Channeled John a little bit on this set and bought multiple copies of it.
Attaboy.
So when it first came out, I didn't even wait for it to go on like any kind of clearance sale or anything like that, because most of the time these don't. So
Until they're about to retire. That's
exactly, and that's
Even
it.
then,
Yeah.
it's 20% of it at best.
And
Yeah.
you better not miss out. So it's the FOMO. I don't want to wait that long. So when this one first came out, I bought 3 of them right away and turned the buildings. I mocked them up into a 32 by 48 base plate and made a
As you should.
2-store mock building for my city. And then I took the trolley cars and I pulled those and de-Christmas sized them and turned those into the transportation to Videoland, my amusement park. So I cannibalized this Christmas set to put into my city and into my amusement park. Because, every city needs like a Christmas toy store and then an awesome music shop. So
Absolutely. Yeah, that trolley is fantastic. I mean, this set on all levels is a perfect annual set. It's got 2 different buildings that have decorations like wreaths that are unique. They've got printed tiles for the music store, and I believe they're printed. Maybe I may be wrong, but then the
No,
Christmas
they were
tree.
stickers. They were
Were they
stickers.
okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Note the Christmas tree on this one. Brick,
Mhm.
really a solid build, like heavy kind of solid.
Mostly
And then
plates.
yeah, and then notice they have the Main Street clock as the light.
Yep.
So now they finally have they've tied the Main Street in together.
Yep.
And now we have but unfortunately no one can see anything because there's no lights. All right. Yeah, by the way, this set's still available.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
as
might
at
pick
the
up
time
another.
of this set does not retire officially until December 31st, 2024. But just as a reminder for those listening, you will be listening to this in December. It may or may not be available at the time of listening, but if it is, go ahead and pick it up while you
Get
have
it,
the
get it,
chance if
get
you
it.
want to start your winter collection.
There you go.
So that brings us into the next one, which second to the last, 10325, the Alpine Lodge, released in October 2023, and still available through the end of next year. This is one that I remember, like when this came out last year, a lot of people in the lug lost their mind over this set.
Yeah.
Yes.
The building techniques in this thing are incredible. The way that log cabin construction is done. I know Tim was one in particular that took this one and did a rebrickable mock, doubling it up, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because yeah. Tim doubled this one up, and that was quite the build.
And it looks fantastic.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. But yeah, these techniques are incredible. You know, the first time we're seeing a snowmobile, and the scale of the snowmobile I absolutely love, because usually in like the Arctic Explorer sets we see these much larger, heftier, you know, very wide builds. This is a 2 by snowmobile, and it works perfectly. It's only 2 studs wide, and it is incredible. Um,
And I
so I
love
actu
the tree build in this one. It's very
Yeah.
simplistic, but it's using a new part, but it's a great little tree build to go
Yep,
along
yep.
with that.
Small
Absolutely.
tree. Small tree.
Small
Yep.
tree. But more importantly than that tree, I have to shout out the our pines using the fern pieces,
That's
inverted
the
fern
ones I'm
pieces.
talking about, yeah.
Oh, that's the one you're talking about. Oh,
Yes.
okay. I thought you were talking about the Christmas tree build.
Nah, that one's a plain Jane small baby tree.
Gotcha. Yeah, the pines are incredible, and I love the outhouse too
The
because
outhouse.
I'm a sucker for humor like that. And I mean, you're in the alpine woods, you got to
Yeah.
have an outhouse. You know, I mean
Right.
that's how that works. So, but this is the kind of set like you could have this not. This would be a good set not in a winter village. You could remove the holiday decor from it, and it would just be a great winter scene. Or you put it up in the top of your mountain scape for your Lego city. It just fits in so many different areas of anyone's Lego world. Even in the winter village, this is something that you could see as isolated, but I could also see this at the very end of the main street as like the hotel.
Right.
It would
Oh
fit in
yeah,
that
absolutely.
in that level as well. So I really do I do like this one a lot. Those techniques kind of give this one a step up.
And this one is also fun. They've got a kitty cat, so the kitten, and
Yeah.
they've got a squirrel, which gotta love the squirrel.
Well, yeah,
Yep.
the
So
white
those
squirrel. I
names,
forgot about
yeah,
that. Yeah.
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 So
It's a
loving
very
the
good one.
set, yeah. And then they also have kind of an ice skating rink. So, but it's funny because I never thought about this, but this does fit the downtown look. Like it
Mhm.
doesn't, you know what I mean? The
Yeah.
lodge aspect of it, but it does fit right on a downtown.
Yeah, this is one I mentioned that because this is one that I intend to add to my winter collection. I tend to buy a year. I plan to buy a year behind because I unlike Kip, I look for that 20% off if I can find it for those Winter Village ones.
Well, I'm
But
behind on this one. I still need to pick this one up as well,
you haven't got
actually.
this one
So
either.
yeah.
Okay, gotcha. But that is my intent is when I get this one at some point in the future to add this into the Main Street look that I'm going to for my Winter Village rather than as a separate entity,
There you
so
go.
I'm trying to incorporate this one in a different way.
Oh, that's a cool building, and I
It
think
is.
that just the log cabin design of it is, to your point, it's cool to see how other people have taken this one. This one has been mocked into other stuff probably more than any other Christmas building.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, I would probably
I
agree.
could
I
see
would
that.
agree with that. I think it's one of the more diverse Winter Village sets as far as being able to do a lot of different things with it to fit whatever aesthetic you're building. Um, so, well, John, take us home with the most recent one because I'm curious about this. None of us have really talked about our thoughts on this set because we knew we were going to be doing this Winter Village episode at some point. So we have not really talked about what we think about this new one since it released. So this is 10339 Santa's Post Office. John, start with you.
well, it's so interesting how Lego continues to feel that a post office is so important to Santa's village, and so this is actually the third one that is to be introduced. But this is my favorite by far because a handful of reasons. One, they've used vehicles in the past. In this case, they use an air balloon, which is very fantastic. And I love the
Yeah.
gold and the dark green. The actual building itself is using new Lego colors. So it's using a nugget and a light blue and a dark blue for the building, and the building design. So Lego's taken a chance here to introduce some new designs. Also with the snow on the roof, they're rounding the corners. They're adding a little bit more texture in the way that they're building the drip in the snow on the roofs. The and to me, this is kind of like the evolution of the same building. So I would say think about like if you could side by side. Oh, and by the way, I love the Christmas tree in this one. It's the
Yeah.
most simple Christmas tree
Yep.
design that they've had, and it's the element itself. It's that inverted sloped slope piece,
I
Yeah.
right?
used that in tan in my walls for the amusement park. I
Yeah,
have
Yeah.
a million of that part in tan.
Yeah. That's such a good piece.
yeah. And then and a handful of signs also, pointing everybody in the direction. But it's got three elf minifigures, which are always fantastic. Each one of them have a new torso, so it's the black bib torso. But this build is just it's consistent with all of the other Lego Village builds. Is that I gotta have it. Um, I there's always something new in it. Like if you get to the interior, there's a little machine that's processing the mail. Even
Mhm.
some of the printed mail is unique.
Yeah.
So they've
Yeah.
gotten some good detail in.
You got the elf fishing out a letter from from the snow
Oh yes,
or the
And
frozen lake.
and that
yeah.
gives you your animal.
Yep.
You've got a fish.
A
Oh
fish.
really?
You've got a baby seal there too next
Oh,
to
is
him.
there a baby seal?
Yeah, you got a
Oh
baby seal there
yeah.
next to him too.
Oh, that's awesome. You get a seal.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
yeah.
Yeah.
that's bonus.
So the one thing I will say in honor of this set is the whimsical side of the Winter Village. Um, I believe is far more consistent than the side based in realism. Because, like John, you mentioned, some of the older sets just in scale don't necessarily match up to some of the modern ones, just because of the evolution of the techniques and size increases and whatnot. But all of the whimsical side, all of the Santa theme ones, I think they intentionally keep within scale for each other. Because when this first set when this set was first revealed, I was like the size. I was like, it's not that big because you look at this next to something else, and it's not. It doesn't take up a huge footprint, but it's dense. But it's 1,400 parts. So it's dense with parts and detail, and you've got like the inverted unicorn pieces inverted in white for icicles, which is the first time we've seen that get used in the Winter Village line. You've got the sign you mentioned earlier, John, references all three of the previous whimsical Santa sets: the
Mhm.
workshop, the post office. This is being the post office, and then the elf clubhouse. So it's meant to be a part of that whimsical side of things, which I absolutely love it for. Consistency with the elves. The outfits are the exact same as the last ones, with the exception of the emblem on their shirt is a post office emblem. Is the only difference, which is still really neat.
Yeah,
But
and then the gold accents. I mean,
Mhm.
it's just more of the fine detail added to it, and I think that if you kind of stack these together, all of these more recent ones, particularly from when you said, which is, I think is, I can't remember what year it was, but 2016 or 17, when they started to get into more detailed, the ideas,
Oh,
they all
that's
fit perfectly.
starting in yeah, that's 2020 with the Elf Clubhouse. That
Yeah,
would be
Elf
the first one.
Clubhouse. Yeah. So those ones all fit perfectly. Now, what I've seen people do is take the original ones and kind of keep them to their original look, but then expanded them to make them look a little bit more appropriately sized so that they fit. And so, but what an amazing line for Lego, right?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely incredible. It's I always look forward to seeing what they're gonna do with these, and, it really never disappoints. I mean, the Elf Clubhouse, just since it's a more recent one, it's probably one I have no intention of purchasing it because 'cause I'm not going for the whimsy side of my winter layout, but, I still absolutely adore it. I mean, the horn build, the balloon pieces, I mean, they just keep ramping it up with this Winter Village set.
And I really like the colors of this one. That's what
Yeah.
I like about it more than anything. I was one of the people at the beginning when I heard, "Oh, it's another post office." Great, whatever. But then as I started looking at it and started looking at the details and the colors and everything else about it, they kind of won me over with it. So I will say they need a post office in the modular lineup though. But that's a whole nother story for another day.
Well,
Yeah, fair,
they have
fair.
three of them in the Christmas lineup. So
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
let's go ahead and wrap it up, gentlemen. Before we do, though, I want to go around and just a real quick. We went over every single Winter Village set. What is your number one? What is your number one Winter Village set?
oh
If you
man.
could only own one, what would it be?
Wow, that's a good one. I'm gonna have to take just a second to think about that because there are a lot of them, and they each offer so many different unique aspects. So
if I had to go with one, I can go ahead and probably tell you mine just because I could
okay,
use it in a lot of different ways for myself. And that would be the Winter Village Market with all of the different stalls and the carousel and all of that. I can see myself creating a whole town, not even necessarily a winter town, but just a town in general around like a little market square with those.
yeah.
So it to me, I love the coloring. I love all of the different scenes behind it, the motion behind it. It's all there. It hits so many check boxes for me. It's probably my number one. If it's not number one, it's a very high number two.
By the way, that set when it was released was I think we talked about this earlier. But that set release it was $99, right? So
Yeah,
it had gotten to that $99 price point. The horse that I referenced, you can get it for $35.
Oh, right
just
on.
the one, and there's two in
Just
that
the one.
set, aren't there?
Yeah, it's the only set that horse has been released in.
Jeez, giddy up. Those two
Giddy up.
horses. Those two horses are 2/3 of the retail price of that set.
That's crazy.
Um, so my go-to, my number one pick, if I could only own one of these, was actually the one that I thought you were going to go with, Kip. It is the Gingerbread House. To me, that is the set that I hate that I missed. That is the one out of all of these that I really hate I missed out on.
that
Um,
that's my number two, number one flip between if I had to pick between that and the Winter
gotcha,
Market. Yeah,
gotcha. Yeah, the gingerbread house, it's just to me, it is the most standalone. It's the one that stands on its own more than any of the other sets. It is its own centerpiece, as a display item, and I admire it for that. My number two is my first the the first one in my collection of the Holiday Main Street. I adore that set, and I cannot wait to build it. If I could only own one, it would be the gingerbread house.
Oh man, you took my number one as well. That's what I would have said as
Gingerbread
well.
house as well.
Yeah, yeah. And I have a number two that I can quickly pivot to because it was the next year's the Elf Clubhouse. So same thing. But I mean, that Holiday Main Street is tough, to really walk away from as a number one pick for me too, because I like Kip, and I mean, oh, I like you, Kip. No, I mean,
thanks, John.
same as you. Yeah, I doubled it up. I built it back with the back to it. I modularized it, and put lighting in it, and it looks fantastic. And it's a great addition to any city build using any of the modulars, and it kind of has a technique to snow eyes your town. So if you're diligent and you want to take one of those, all the different mocks within the Lego series and make them snowy, it's easy to do, kind of following the standards. I don't know. I think for me, number one, since you already picked the gingerbread, is the Elf Clubhouse. Number two would be the Holiday Main Street.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, guys,
It's been fun.
it's been fun.
Gosh.
That does it for the Brick Lounge review of the Winter Village.
This
So
might be our longest recording yet,
I
too.
think so. We went down a rabbit hole on this one, but anyway, well, ladies and gentlemen, let us know what your favorite Winter Village set is. Or even what your top three are. Do you prefer the whimsical fantasy Santa elf gingerbread
Hmm.
side, or do you like the more the realistic side of the Winter Village? That's the beauty, is there's a little bit for everything in this line. Um, let us know. I'd be curious to hear what you guys want out of a Winter Village set going forward. Because I personally, I never really go into these things with any expectation because I'm always surprised with what it is. So I can never think of what I would want out of a Winter Village. It's just always going to be something cool. But let us know what your favorite sets are. Let us know what you want. And until next time,
Bricks down.
bricks down.
Breaks down.
I love it. I love it. Oh, oh, oh.